Good morning, everybody. I got my coffee, I got my vape. Let's talk a little. Whether stretching muscles, learning a new skill, overcoming obstacles, or growing in a particular aspect of your life, the basic processes are the same. Stretching. Let's take a quick sip and we'll jump right into this. A couple of days ago, I was doing my regular morning stretching routine, which lasts anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour. It's usually pretty painful, but this morning it was extra painful. I was extra stiff. But I realized that I wasn't adverse to this pain. I was actually looking forward to it, and it was a positive thing for me, which got me thinking about comparison between stretching muscles and stretching in other aspects of my life. You're going to have to bear with me. There's going to be a lot of analogies in this. So if you don't like analogies, this may not be the one for you. But I think if you follow this along, you'll get my point. I'm going to be comparing stretching my muscles with another aspect of my life, which right now is retraining and learning the base again. First of all, why do we need to stretch? Why do I feel like I need to put myself through all that? The biggest reason is because of the limited range of motion. When my muscles are all tight and short, my range of motion isn't there. I can't reach as far. I can't lift my arms as high. I can't lift as much. I can't do the things that I want to do. The same when I get on a base right now, I can't do what I want to do. I remember what I want to do. I feel what I want to do. I'm hearing other players and I want to emulate that. It's something I used to be able to do quite easily, but I can't do it because of my range of motion in my fingers and my hands. This is important for me because I never want to stay right where I am. If I wanted to be comfortable and not go any further, then I could probably stay there. But as I said before, life never stays static. It moves in one direction or the other, so the condition would get worse, my ability to play would get worse, and I would not even be able to maintain what I have today. Another reason for stretching for me is to relieve pain. When I get my muscles all stretched out and feeling good and being where they're supposed to be, they function the way they're supposed to, and they work with other muscles to do what they're supposed to be doing with ease. And this contributes to my quality of life. So here's the progression I take. First off, I have to identify the pain. I have to identify what needs to be stretched. So what I need to do is I just need to put those muscles into work. I need to start playing what I want to play. And in that process, I will be able to tell what's not working. I'll stretch my arm out just enough so it feels uncomfortable. And then I'll just move around until I feel which muscle I actually need to stretch, which muscle needs to be fixed. And at that point, I've got to figure out, is this something that I can fix? Or is this something I need to work around? You've got your major muscles, your biceps, your triceps, your delts, your quads, all those things that you hear people talking about, and that's what they focus on. Bodybuilders usually focus on that first, unless they're educated on how the muscles actually work. A lot of times, it's going to be these smaller supportive muscles that are causing the problem. And if you work just on those big major ones, then you're just not going to be able to have the effect that you want. The next thing that I do is I figure out, how does it need to be stretched? In which direction? Do I need to put my arm on a wall and lift it at a certain angle and move my body at a certain angle? You can feel that. You can feel when the tension is the most, and that's the direction it needs to be stretched. It needs to be in the opposite direction that particular muscle works. Once I've identified the muscle and I've figured out the direction to stretch, I put it just so I am uncomfortable. I push it to its limit, and then I push it just a little bit further than that. If I stretch it too far, too fast, then I'm going to make the situation worse. Another thing is I have to know what kind of pains I'm feeling. I've got to get a good feel for that. Is it pain from the muscle because it needs to be stretched? Is it pain from a muscle because it's injured? Is it nerve pain? Is it skeletal pain? Is it a bruise? All those kind of things I need to identify before I even do any of this. Otherwise, I could make the problem a whole lot worse. And as I said, if I stretch the muscle too fast or too far, it's going to make my condition worse or cause injury. Not enough, I'm just not accomplishing anything. The muscle isn't going to retrain, and that's the important thing. Through practice, through stretching, I'm retraining my muscles to what they're supposed to be doing, to what I want them to do. So once I get that stretch, I have to hold it until the discomfort goes away. I don't bounce it around. I don't do anything fancy schmancy. I just hold it there. In life, there are forces that are in place to keep change from happening. And you have to work against those forces. Everything wants to settle. Everything wants to find the path of least resistance. For muscles, you have these Golgi tendon organs. I think I'm saying that right. Basically what they do, they're attached to two ends of the tendons, and they're designed to keep you from straining a muscle. So when you pull a muscle, these guys actually detect that there's a change, and it says, oh, hold on a second, let's not move too fast. Is this a change that I want to happen, or is this a change because I'm falling down or I'm going to injure myself? Once you hold it long enough, which you pretty much have to hold it for at least 30 seconds, then these little Golgi guys, they say, oh, okay, we're good. I'm going to let the muscle relax. I'm going to let the muscle stretch. And that happens with practicing. It happens anything that you're changing. You have to do it long enough. You have to be uncomfortable long enough for things to settle in, for your mind to even get around the fact that something has changed and this is good. This is the normal. It's not going to hurt you. If you do it long enough, it becomes the norm. It becomes comfortable. It's the new default setting for what is normal. And when you change one muscle, you get it used to being in a certain point. And it's really kind of interesting how the muscles around it go, oh, okay, so that's what we're doing now. And they fall right in place. I think I'm going to take another sip and let the coffee fall right in place. Okay, so I've been talking about muscles a whole lot. And how does this really relate to some other aspect? Well, when I'm practicing, I will pick a little pattern that I'm going to play with my fingers. I'm going to play the index finger first, and then the ring finger next, and then the middle finger next, and then the little finger next. I'm going to do it in rhythm. Now, my hands don't normally want to do that. They haven't played for a whole long time, and they've been through a lot of trauma and a lot of healing. And they're used to just kind of sitting there until I want to pull or pick up something or grasp something. So I've got to take it slow, and I got to do it with a metronome so I know that I am playing in rhythm. I'm not just doing the motion. I need to know that I'm doing the motion right. I've got to slow down to speed up. I set the metronome to a speed that I can actually do that motion. And once I get to the point where I can do that motion 10 times. Why 10 times? I don't know. It just seems to work for me. Once I can do that motion 10 times at that speed, then I'm going to speed it up about 5 clicks. And that's generally enough to push me where my fingers are saying, I'm not comfortable doing this. And then I'll keep practicing it until I can do it 10 times without any mistakes, in rhythm, and my fingers are feeling comfortable again. And then I'll just keep upping it. The important thing is while I'm stretching, while I'm practicing, is that I don't pick up bad habits. The beauty of me having to start from scratch with my playing is I can form good habits which replace some of the bad habits that I used to have that were limiting me. So if I do that pattern long enough, it becomes comfortable, and then I push it further. So let's get back to stretching. Once I've stretched the muscle, it's going to want to return back to the state that it was before. Now, it's not going to do it immediately, but it will return pretty quickly if I don't do a few things. First is, I need to use that muscle. In using that muscle at the length that it is, in the state of relaxation that it is, and the level of pain that it is, it will get used to doing things. It'll get used to me actually using them. I have to stretch regularly. As I said before, I do this every single morning. I really should do it religiously 2 or 3 times a day, because the more I do it, the faster the change is going to come. I can overdo it. I can overwork the muscles. There's only a certain point that you can do something where your rate of return is diminished to the point that you're really not doing much. I got to change some bad habits. I've got to start sitting up straight. I've got to stop doing things that cause the muscles to want to be in that shortened state or put strain on them. What I've learned through the years is it's hard to change bad habits. The best thing to do is just replace them with good habits. Let's say you have a glass of water that you want to actually have a glass of sand. Well, you can go through the trouble of reaching over, picking up the glass, pouring out the water, putting it back down, grabbing the sand, pouring it in there, and voila, you have a glass of sand. Or you can just start pouring the sand in there, and the sand is actually going to replace the water, and the water's going to be gone, and you're going to have a glass of sand. It's the same end result, it's just achieved faster. And my brain is telling me that the next thing it wants to achieve is a state of caffeination. So let's take a sip. Okay, so what happens when you reach that new norm? When your state of comfort has hit a certain level? Well, you can keep practicing at that level if you want to and just maintain it. Now, you're going to have to keep practicing because, as I said before, life isn't stagnant. If you don't keep practicing it, you don't keep stretching it, you don't keep working it, it's going to actually depreciate again. And if you want to stay at that same level, that's okay. That's your decision. It's your life. For me, I never want to stay at the same level. I get bored easy. I would rather be in pain than bored. And I actually have very lofty goals for anything that I do. I want to get better and better and better and better at them. So what I have found that I need to do once I hit that norm is I got to start this whole process all over again. I've got to reevaluate what's working, what's not working, what needs to be fixed. Can it be fixed? Do I need to work around it? What direction I need to stretch that muscle? And then I need to focus on that and start working on that. Sometimes with playing the bass, I've got to actually go backwards. I'll have this really cool little riff that I'm playing and it sounds really good, but there's one little section of it that just isn't right. Well, I've learned this riff, I'm playing it, I'm having fun with it. I could continue doing that and I could have that one little mistake. And what drives me crazy is most musicians will do that. But what I do is I isolate what is that mistake, and I will go 2 steps backwards, and I will take the time to learn that little piece, that little thing that's out. Once I perfect that and I get that to a comfort level that's equal with the rest of the little riff I'm playing, and then I've taken 2 steps backwards, but now I can take 10 steps forwards because when I start playing that riff again, it's perfect, and I can build from there. The biggest challenge that I have in this process is not returning back to old habits. And that's the reason why I'm taking my bass practice step by step from basics. I haven't even played a whole song and I've been doing this for a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. If I go start playing the songs that I used to play, especially if it's recordings that I've played on and I've come up with a part myself, then I'm going to start playing it the same way I played it before, which means with old bad habits. I want to do it the new way. In fact, some of the habits aren't bad. I just want to do things a different way. Some things I have to do. I had 5 strings before. I have 6 strings now. There's certain things that I have to do differently than I did before to be able to play the 6 strings as well as I played the 5 strings. So now I'm starting from scratch. I can just learn how to play the 6 string, and I can always go back to the 5 string. So I am starting from scratch, and I am taking it slow and steady so that when I get to the point where I'm as fluid on this 6 string as I was 6 years ago, then I'm just going to be able to take off from there. I'm going to be a monster. Okay, my brain just stopped. I guess that means I need another sip. It's painful. It's very painful. It doesn't get better right away. I realize that if I stretch this muscle that hurts so bad and just hold it there, just bear the pain for 30 seconds, I'm going to have relief. It's going to release. And when I stop stretching, I'm going to feel great. That muscle is going to be amazing. And that happens with stretching in other aspects of my life as well. I know that I'm going to have to go through this pain. It's not easy to do, and I'm not going to say that I just jump in there and I do the Superman thing and I just bear with it, because a lot of times I don't. Sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20 tries for me actually to deal with the pain and actually hunker down and say, I'm just going to deal with this right now, and it's going to get better. And when it gets better, it's going to be exponentially better. It's going to be so different from where it is right now that I'm actually going to be looking forward to starting this process again. While I'm going through the pain, while I'm sitting there and bearing it, I'm focused on the outcome. That outcome excites me. I recognize that the stretching and growing pains that I'm experiencing right now are going to be gone. And the more I do that, it seems like the time that I am in discomfort is a lot shorter. It's not always shorter, but it just seems that way. I guess because I'm not focused on the pain aspect, I'm focused on the excitement of what I'm going to achieve. So I look forward to the stretching. I look forward to the pain because I know what the alternative is. The alternative is I go throughout the whole day steadily getting worse and worse and worse. I could have migraines. I could get brain fog. My energy level is going to be down. And I'm not going to achieve what I want to achieve. And that's very frustrating for me. What I want to achieve right now is to take another sip. You guessed it. So what is your experiencing with stretching? Whether it is muscles, you may be an athlete, or you may be into yoga, which is amazing, or with other aspects of your life. If you've ever achieved anything, if you've ever gotten great at anything, or if you've just gotten better at something, then you've gone through this process. What is your experience with it? Have you gotten to the point where you actually look forward to that discomfort, to that pain? Are you able to focus on the end result? Give me some tips on how to get through that little section better. I'm always struggling with that. Sometimes I'm great at it, sometimes I'm not. Let's start a conversation. Just a note, I put these videos out on Thursdays mornings, and next Thursday is, guess what? It's Halloween. So I'm going to have a special coffee with Phil that's going to be ghost stories. It's going to be true stories about things that I've experienced in my life that I don't talk about a whole lot. So this will give you a chance to see another side of Phil that you may not have seen before. I don't know if you're going to like it or not, but I'm hoping it's going to be a lot of fun. So hit that little ringy-dingy thing so you're notified next week and you don't miss it. Also, if you don't mind, hit that like button. It really helps me out. It helps me to grow this channel. And if you feel like it, go ahead and share this with somebody that you think might actually enjoy it or benefit from it. And as always, no matter what tune that life plays you, always find your groove. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will talk to you next week on Halloween.